These days, work is in trouble. We've outsourced most of our manufacturing to other countries. And with that, we sent away good jobs and our capability to make things. American Giant is a clothing company that's pushing back against this tide. They make all kinds of high-quality clothing and activewear, like sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. So when you buy American Giant, you create jobs in towns and cities across the country. And jobs bring pride, purpose. They stitch people together. If all that sounds good to you, visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with promo code STAPLE20.
This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We begin hour number 2. It is VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross here at Sin City in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Circus Sports. He is our closer, Jensen Lewis, back home in the land, Cleveland, Ohio. We always love catching up with Tyler Fulghum. Does an amazing job at ESPN. You can follow Tyler as I do at Tyler_Fulghum on X, and joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line to kick off hour number 2. Shreyman, we're going to get to the PGA Championship because you know we got to talk some golf.
Yep.
A big golf bet you're going to lose to me this year. But we have to begin with the NFL and the schedule release. Drip, drip, drip. It's coming out. I know you guys will be talking about it all day on ESPN. Your Rammies are going to be featured overseas this year. Do you look at that and say, yeah, we want to expose the Rams to the rest of the world? Or do you look at it and say, man, why do we have to give up a game in London against the Jags on October 19th?
It's inconsequential to me. I don't care how much money Stan Kroenke makes from this franchise. I don't give a you-know-what about the business side. I think Sean McVay and the staff are well-equipped. They've done this before. I think they've gone over to Europe 3 or 4 times now, so this will be something he's very familiar with. I trust the team to be ready to take on a Jags team that they'll likely be favored against in that matchup. So as far as whether or not I like it, I don't care. I don't care if the game's played in L.A., San Francisco, New York, London, or the Moon. All I care about is whether or not the Rams win and or cover.
Tyler, is there anything, and obviously we'll get the full schedule released tonight, in years past when this happens, is there anything that you look for to jump on immediately, whether it be win totals that are there, whether it be initial spreads, game of the years, quote unquote spreads that are hung there? What are your first initial reactions when we finally get that full boat?
Yeah, there's a few things that you can go through if you're looking to try and bet win totals. First of all, where's the bye? Is it early in the week, early in the year? Is it late in the year? Does that coincide with having, a rookie quarterback or an older team? You want to look at, bad travel situations where you are traveling and maybe the other team is coming off a bye. Now, this is like digging deep, but it's the stuff you got to do. So, I remember a couple of years ago, the Niners played 3 or 4 games where they were traveling and their opponent came off of a bye. And that's tough. That's a tough situation to put a team even as good as the Niners are in. So those are the type of digging deep situations you have to look for, not just how many road games they're playing back to back, but look at what the opponent is coming off. Is the opponent coming off an easy game where they can maybe get some fourth quarter rest, that type of situation? So you have to kind of really dig deep when you're looking for the true edges in what the schedule release provides.
Shreyman, I know you've been busy. Congratulations to you and Jasmine on the nuptials. And I don't know how you've been able to dig into the numbers when you've been out there vacationing as much as you've been doing. But now that the draft is completed, have you changed your opinion on any team? I'm looking at the Niners at plus money to win the division, and your Rammies are right there at 2-1 to win the division. Have you formulated any official betting positions based on what you saw from the draft, or are you still waiting till we get to the camps in the summer?
I actually kind of hate that you're asking me this question because I have to admit that a team that I've become a little more bullish on, I've been talking about on my show and on SportsCenter, is your Dallas Cowboys, Dave Ross. Now, here's the thing. The expectations for Dallas this year are quite low. Their win total is 7.5. I have zero confidence in Brian Schottenheimer. I think that is the huge X factor that concerns me here. I don't want to bet my hard-earned American dollars on a Brian Schottenheimer coach team. However, getting 8 wins with Dak Prescott has pretty much been guaranteed as long as Prescott's been healthy enough to finish the season. He's been the starting quarterback in Dallas for 9 years, They've had 8 wins or more in 7 of those years. And what has been the constant in those 7 years? Prescott's not been missing games due to injury. He's played more than 10 games. The other 2 times, 2020 and 2024, that they won less than 8 games, it's because Prescott missed multiple games more than half the season due to injury. You add George Pickens to help the offense. You draft well again, thanks to Will McClay. And I actually think in the NFC East, I think most people look at it as the Eagles are the top, and their biggest threat is the Commanders. And the Commanders are, with Jaden Daniels, getting close to maybe knocking off the Eagles. I actually think that the distance between the Cowboys and Commanders for the second best team is way closer than the distance between the Eagles and the Commanders for the best team. I think the Commanders could take a fall back to third in this division, and Dallas could be the second best team, winning 9 or 10 games and flirting with the wild card in the NFC.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff here. And I know it's a division that obviously we will have a keen eye on. And also
I hate it, Jensen. I hate that I just came on here and had to give the Dallas Cowboys credit. And I know Dave was just smiling and nodding and going, yeah, we're going to win 9 games. Yeah, we're going to win 10 games. This is the Cowboys. We're America's team. We're coming back this year. I hate it.
This is one of the first times, Jensen, I didn't want to say cut his mic. It was really nice. I enjoyed that whole segment. It was beautiful. Guys, we got to talk. We got to talk some golf here, boys, before we run out of time.
Sorry to cut you off.
It's okay. No. We got to move on, but I'm glad we ended on the Cowboys note. That's a good one. I just want to start off for the PGA Championship this week. I know you're knee deep in it as well as Jensen and I are too. I want you to hear this quote from a buddy we've talked a lot about through the years, and Hunter Mahan, and he had a very interesting comparison about what this course represents. He says, let the great Quail Hollow debate commence. This is from Hunter. Quail Hollow is like a Kardashian. It's very modern, beautiful, and well-kept, but it lacks a soul or character. What they're saying, Tyler, it's just a big, dumb golf course, and you just bombs away on it, and you don't have to think at all. Does that change the handicap for guys that we know, like Brooks Koepka, that don't overthink things and just go out there and bombs away, baby?
Well, first, Jensen, you should know that Dave Ross lacks a soul and lacks character when it comes to a certain moment in Hunter Mahan's life that stands out. I'll let him tell you about that, and then you can determine whether or not you like hosting with someone who treats other people that way. But the bottom line is, it doesn't change the handicap because we already knew this. We knew because of Rory's dominance at Quail Hollow, and because he's gotten in front of the mic and said, if I'm driving the ball well here, it really doesn't matter. I can do anything I want at this course. He's got 4 wins. He's got the highest scoring average or the lowest scoring average there, most rounds in the 60s. So I have been looking at guys who have Rory's game. That includes Brooks Koepka. That includes Bryson DeChambeau. That includes Scotty Scheffler. That includes Xander Schauffele. That includes Justin Thomas. That includes Ludwig Åberg. Guys who can hit it 300 plus, 315, dominate off the tee, and then make a few putts here. I think that's going to be the winning recipe at this tournament. So, yes, very much Brooks is in play. Very much Rory and Scotty are obviously in play. My golfers that I'm handicapping or that I'm trying to invest in, whether it's daily fantasy or betting markets, are guys who at least can hit it 3 bills off the tee.
Yeah, and speaking of recipe, we will get to Xander Schauffele's Champions Dinner here upcoming because Dave does tell me you are quite the aficionado.
That's the rumor, Jensen.
On just not only culinary exploits, but for people watching it on the VSiN Watch at VSiN.com, we'll put up the actual menu of it. And Xander is a play for me this week, too, on the outright market. Also, basically book him for a top 20. But let's first get your thoughts on the menu and where it stacks up, maybe comparison to the Masters, dinner there from Scotty Scheffler, what we'll get from Rory McIlroy upcoming next year. Thoughts on what we've seen from Xander and what he put together?
Solid, elite, almost elite type of. It's Xander. It's typical Xander. There's nothing flashy here, but this is a well-rounded menu that has no weaknesses. I guess if I had to point out one thing, he kind of doubles up on the beef and blue cheese. Now, I'm a big fan of beef and blue cheese. I think it's a great combination. Okay, it's like peanut butter and jelly for me, but I think he had it in the appetizer course and in the entree course, but he went surf and turf in the entree. He had options that were, elevated, classy dishes that Dave probably wouldn't understand. He'd be picking off things in the past apps course. And then he has, which can be dangerous if you've been on cooking shows, doing a duo of dessert. Instead of doing one thing, there's 2 things on the dessert. That often gives judges two things to critique instead of just one. But to me, they were, a banana split and a shortbread cookie cake kind of situation. It's like you can't really mess that up. So I think it's a solid 8.8, 8.9 out of 10 for his PGA Championship dinner. Like Xander, just well-rounded, no weaknesses.
My mom was disappointed you didn't win Guy Fieri's show when you were on it. What sent you home? Was it the dessert? Was that why you picked at Xander's dessert there?
It was a couple of things. One, your mom would probably smack me upside the head and I broke some pasta that I should not have done, obviously.
What are you doing?
And I hammered some scallops as well. So it was just a mess. It was a meltdown like Jean Van de Velde. Was at Carnoustie? I don't know what it was, but I absolutely melted down.
Like Hunter Mahan, Hunter Mahan at the Ryder Cup.
Jensen, there he is. I mean, soulless like a Kardashian. Hunter Mahan at his lowest point.
Wow.
Mickelson's over there trying to console him after the Ryder Cup, and Dave Ross takes great pleasure in mocking Hunter Mahan for his most vulnerable and, worst moment of his life. Unbelievable.
We did have a lot of fun for years running back. He just beat me. Very quickly, you can salvage the bet, and you don't have to take me to Bandon Dunes on your dime. If Jordan Spieth wins one more major, he is on record saying this week, and he's playing good. Yeah. He's giving you a chance this week that he could complete the career Grand Slam. All the talk was about Rory at Augusta. Could Jordy really be in play this week?
1-2% chance for me. I think if he's going to win one of the next three majors, my best shot is at the Open. That's the type of major that sets up, I think, better for Jordy's kind of erratic game. PGA Championship and U.S. Open, I'd like to see him in sharper form if I'm going to bet him there.
Do you feel like a different guy?
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Who wins it? Who's there hoisting the trophy there on Sunday?
I'm going to say Rory, but if I'm betting, I like the value you were talking about on Xander. I think Xander should be priced much closer to Rory and Scotty than he is. But if I am taking away the betting, Rory or Scotty, they're too good.
At 22,
Bryson's in the mix as well.
Yeah, 22 to 1 on X-Men does feel like a good price. Are you a different guy now that you're married? Or same dude?
Yeah, a lot less golf. Probably getting a little fatter too. Don't have to run around trying to impress out there in the market. So sorry to my wife that she's getting the worst version of me, but probably a little different.
Get off the street, stay at home. There he is, everybody. Tyler Fulghum. Check him out on ESPN. Shravy, you are the best, my friend. Come on back. We're going to talk some highlights and headlines next.
American Giant makes great clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, and more right here in the U.S. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, code STAPLE20.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We continue VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. A lot of fun having Tyler Fulghum on in the last segment, talking all things NFL schedule release, PGA Championship. I understand it, Jensen. Everybody's going to play chalk this week. I'm not going to get mad at you playing Rory 5-1, but as Tyler mentioned, as we've mentioned here in the week, we don't want to play that short number. But even when we had Rex Hoggard on yesterday from the Golf Channel, it does make sense, right? It makes sense to have Rory in some way, shape, or form on your card. So we'll get to that before the show is over. But in hour number 2, let's get to it. More highlights and headlines.
Help your bottom line with today's highlights and headlines.
Oh, did the UFC and Dana White make some highlights and headlines yesterday? And we knew, Jensen, it was coming from the fallout from Saturday night when Jack Della Maddalena took the belt at 170 pounds from Bilal Muhammad. So there'd been a lot of consternation about what was Dana going to do now, because we'd heard, could we have these super fights? Could we have 2 division champions? What are we going to do in some of these weight classes? Well, it's been announced, and we've got new headliners coming up. And it really was headlined by Ilia Topuria, who vacated the belt at 145 pounds to go up to 155 pounds, where, of course, Islam Makhachev was the champion. Makhachev has vacated that belt at 155 pounds and will fight Jack Della Maddalena in JDM's first title bout. That's going to come up in the fall. A date has not been announced yet for that, but that will be the first title defense for JDM against Islam Makhachev. So what happens at 155 pounds? That means Topuria going up 10 pounds, getting rid of the crown at 45, will get an immediate title shot against Charles do Bronx Oliveira. This is going to be on June 29th on Saturday. So it's going to be next month. Waiting for those numbers to populate out there. Topuria took to X and said this. On June 28th, rather, another dream will come true. I'll be the champion of the lightweight division. Charles, my apologies in advance. I'm just fighting for my dreams. It's unfortunate that Makhachev ran away, meaning going up to 170 pounds, 17-0 with the Spanish Rose. Topuria. First of all, Jensen, do you like the super fight idea? Because that's what the UFC and Dana White's giving you, right? So we're going to get these Makhachev JDMs leaving weight classes. You're getting this now. I love it too, but other people are like, man, stay in your own weight class. What do you make of what the UFC is doing with these super fights?
Yeah, I love it. And again, it's going to drive viewership. It's going to drive some money. I was going to ask you a follow-up. Are you more excited about these super fights, or now that we know that the Cowboys host the Chiefs on Thanksgiving?
Oh, man, don't do it to me. It's like two loves of my life here. Obviously, I can't wait for the Cowboys and that Thanksgiving Day game against the Chiefs. I'm a big Charles do Bronx fan, Charles Oliveira, getting the title shot at 55 against Topuria. I'm assuming that Ilya, coming up in weight, will be installed as the favorite there. I have seen some numbers on the JDM Islam Makhachev fight. They're not official numbers, not behind me here at Circa, but I've seen that JDM is the underdog again. And from a betting perspective, that's going to get really interesting to me because you're coming up in weight 15 pounds. So if JDM can stuff the tough takedowns, he might be able to win that fight. Also, for Brandon Valesky and everybody else in Chicago, they've also announced in August they're coming back to the United Center, and that main event is going to be DDP putting the middleweight strap on the line against Khamzat Chimaev. And right now, Chimaev is the betting favorite at almost 2-1 against Dricus du Plessis to win that belt at the United Center. And Brandon asked me, you going to come back to Chicago for this one? And I've gotten a little bit hoity-toity as I've gotten older. Jensen, I like to watch the fights, like really watch the fights and not just be amongst the peeps. But that one might be a return trip to Chicago for me in August. So another super fight has been announced here in the middleweight division.
I may have to make a couple of calls. If it's in a suite where we get the monitors, does that entice you a little bit? Because now we get our space, we get our own bathroom, we get our own adult beverages and food. Brandon can give us the lay of the land there in the Windy City.
You have piqued my interest, sir. We might have to take VSiN By The Books on the road for that one, for UFC in August in the Windy City. Let's continue the highlights and headlines. And how about the Bengals? And I've got a ticket on them at 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. And it was all, to me, predicated on before the moves were made, they're going to re-sign their wide receivers. T. Higgins, check. We got Chase back in the fold, check. We don't have the pass rusher extraordinaire yet in Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals did spend $276 million on those wide receivers that I mentioned, but yet Trey says they're not even talking, that it's hard to get to the table and make a deal when you're not even talking about this. And he says he will not play on his existing contract. Jensen, you know how this works for players. Does Trey have the leverage or do the Bengals?
Well, Trey has the leverage because the Bengals are cheap, at least, in most respects. They did finally open the wallet there for the wide receiver room. However, I think this is where we handicapped this group when Al Golden was going to come in was, okay, we're gonna tighten this up a little bit. You bring back, and this was also part of how you went about getting that futures ticket.
Yes.
If we get T, if we get Jamar, and if we get Trey, boy, that's the trifecta you're looking at, and you want to jump on the number early because we felt that might come down. Bengals still at 20-1 to win it all. Division odds right now, still around plus 230, at least on DraftKings there. Ravens still minus $1.45 favorite. You need to get this right, man, because talk about yesterday, Rafi Devers having the issues in the clubhouse with the Red Sox and now the public comments. The fact that Trey has come out and said there has been little to no effort to communicate. What? Come on, get it right.
Well, there was some communication. And this is coming from Mike Petraglia. This is fascinating, okay? And I wonder how you as a player would receive this. He got a text, apparently, allegedly, from the head coach, Zach Taylor. And the text basically, we talked about Zach Strus, like the negative energy of a text. And it came from...
Not a phone call,
a text. Threatening him with fines if he didn't show up at mandatory minis coming up here next month. And then that angered Hendrickson, triggered the statements on Monday to the national media, and said he does have a good relationship with the head coach. Reiterated he's happy for the wide receivers. They got their money. Loves Cincinnati, wants to remain there if possible, but doesn't feel like there's been an effort to communicate. Why the text, Jensen? If this is in fact, and they have a good relationship, call him. It's just call him. If you're Zach, don't send the text, hey, man, we're going to fine you if you don't show up. How would you receive that as a player?
No, if I'm Zach Taylor, you get on the bird and you go face-to-face.
Even better.
You go Jake Taylor over to Roger Dorn's house, and you'd be like, hey, this is my last chance at a winner. I need you, and I'm sorry that this has transpired the way that it is, but if you got that relationship, why are we texting? At the very minimum, you get on the horn and be like, whoa. Hey, just wanted to touch base. Like, I'm seeing what's going on here. Can you tell me what you feel? And let's get to the bottom of this. But for me, if it's me, knowing what we have, and you're arguably our most important defensive player, I'm getting on the bird. And I'm going right to his front door with his wife at home and sitting them both down and saying, guys, you're as important a piece to our team as anything. This is ridiculous that it's gotten to this far.
I'm stunned when I hear that. That's kind of a coded threatening. I don't want to say threatening. Well, the guy's on a contract to make $21 million this year for the 1-year deal that's existing. He does not want to play in that deal. You can make the case, has he earned the right to do this? But you are in the contract, so I get both sides of those coins. But I don't know that that's the best way to go about it with you, Jensen. Pick up the phone or show up at the door, knock on the door and say, hey, let's hammer this out. We will get it hammered out, but we would like you to show up at mini camps next month in June. By the way, you mentioned there's some other trickle downs coming out from the NFL right now, Jensen. What's the latest to hit the official part?
So it looks like the Packers will open at home. This is courtesy of Jordan Schultz. Packers will open at home in the afternoon window, 4:25 Eastern against the Lions. And then also coming across a bit last night, which I think is going to be a fun one. The Broncos will host the Titans, so that'd be Cam Ward's NFL opener. We got some lines populating.
Yes, we do. I was just going to say.
Here we go. Let's fire it up, baby. Can't wait to see it. It's going to be very intriguing here.
This is literally hot off the presses, right? We just announced earlier in the program about that Thanksgiving Day game, and I theorized that maybe there you go. I thought the Cowboys would be 3-point favorites. They're 4.5 point underdogs. The Cowboys right now are 4.5 point underdogs on Thanksgiving Day. Look, do you not want to tie up your money? You better bet the Cowboys right now plus 4.5. I thought the Cowboys would be 2.5 point favorites at home against the Chiefs. No. It's flipped. So that, to me, again, barring injury, you don't know how this is all going to play out. But if you could just go on that everybody's going to be healthy and that you're going to have Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott, I would take the 4.5. Jensen, that number will not be there by the time you get to Thanksgiving if everything stays the way it is. No way that number stays where it is right now. $9.99 betting splits. Get access to them each and every day when you become a VSiN Pro subscriber. VSiN.com/subscribe. $9.99 for your first month. So it's not just here at Circa, but also DraftKings. Check it out today, VSiN.com/subscribe. Much more on that. Plus, Whiff Wednesday is up next.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
I did not have Jensen Lewis. May 14th being one of the more exciting days on the show calendar. But here we go with the drip of the NFL schedule being released. By the way, all day in the network, every show, they're going to have you covered as all this becomes official. Numbers are coming out with some of these games. And literally for us, it's like Christmas because we don't get this. We won't get this during football season, obviously with those numbers already being hardened. Did get a nice tweet from Jason Stark who says, my man D-Raw Sports needs to lay off the pipe with these crazy cowgirl takes this morning at JLou50 as well. And look, I am excited. I am stunned that the Cowboys are getting 4.5 against right now. This just last 20 minutes. They're getting 4.5 on that Thanksgiving Day game against the Chiefs. And we looked at the total at 47.5, Jensen, and say that does feel low if it's Mahomes and Dak. That probably hits 50 if those guys stay healthy.
Yeah, you would think so. A lot more to dive into, my friend. Can't wait for tomorrow's show. We get every single game and all those big-time game of the year spreads coming as well.
So if you want to lock up your money for 7-8 months, you can bet these right now because they are populating in real time. But without further ado, let's get back to some baseball talk and some Whiff Wednesdays in honor of that every Wednesday. You like to take a look at some guys that maybe are going to be struggling to hit the baseball and or conversely get some Ks today.
Yeah, and we appreciate everyone who jumps on social media, gives us some love here. Doug Tuttle was on me early this morning and said, hey, have you looked at potentially Bryce Harper against Eric Fetty? And I told him, boy, you are going to love it. So, Doug, right before you get to your workout here coming up, here's number one on Whiff Wednesday, fading Fetty. Keep it very simple here, people. There are not often times where you look at statistical matchups and it's pretty lopsided here. Bryce Harper, 11 for 22, not just 11 hits, 7 extra base hits, a double, 6 homers, 5 walks. He's also hitting 60 points higher at home than he is away. They'll get a day-night doubleheader here with the rain out yesterday, Dave. Cardinals going for their 10th win as they will take on the Phillies. Again, that first game, it's going to be Fetty and Jesus Luzardo. So it's 1:05 first pitch. So lock in. Remember when you do this today, make sure you lock in this matchup. That's the early game. So we're going to do a little total bases ladder here for Bryce Harper. And in game one, just to give you the numbers right now, 2 or more total bases, Dave, plus $1.10. 3 or more, plus $2.25. And 4 or more is plus $3.40. And if you just want to go straight for the jugular and you want Bryce Harper in game one for a home run, it's plus $4.50. So a lot of different ways to attack it, but we are going to ladder the total bases today in that specific matchup in game one.
Love where your head's at with that. Expecting a big day here from Bryce in the city of brotherly shove. How about Scooble? We know how good he can be. Is he going to keep that run going today on Whiff Wednesday?
I think so. And again, off the momentum yesterday, if you stayed up to watch that extra inning affair, Javi Baez is having a renaissance. El Mago has been on fire. But he is nowhere near as white hot as Tarek Skubal. So our headline is Tarek tearing through them. And the statistics are pretty daunting if you're the Boston Red Sox. 4 home starts for Tarek Skubal today. This year. 3-0, $1.13 ERA. Remember, coming into this start, 50 strikeouts and 1 walk. The 1 walk is the one he's given up at home in those 4 home starts. So 33 strikeouts against 1 walk overall there at Comerica Park. Last year, he dominated Boston and his only start against the Red Sox, 8 innings, 8 strikeouts, 1 run allowed. We are going to do a little homage to Joe Cirallo here. Tigers to not bat in the bottom of the 9th. That's a way to go for it. And then we're going to do a little parlay here with Tarek Skubal. We are going to take 7 or more strikeouts for him, but we're also going to parlay that with the under 1.5 walks. And so right now, when you put that together, you should be in that plus money territory. And actually, DraftKings is hanging it at under 0.5 walk. So if you want to get even more adventurous right now, 7 strikeouts and no walks for Tarek Skubal. That's plus 254 on DraftKings for that parlay.
By the way, he's still the front runner to go back-to-back and win the Cy Young. Plus $1.60 right now. Crochet is the second betting choice. Hunter Brown feels like a guy getting a lot of juice there in Houston at plus 550. But if the Tigers win the division and Skubal is the leader of that staff again and is pitching the way he's pitching, would voter fatigue be the only issue that would keep him from winning it back-to-back?
I don't think you can have voter fatigue in this scenario here, Dave, just because the statistics that he would put up to be in that conversation, let alone be the front runner, would have to be massively impressive. So what he's done to this point has been that. Can he keep it up for the 6-month marathon? That will be the ultimate question.
And again, normally don't like to back those short numbers at plus $1.60, but it is still plus money right now if you want to go with the Scooble side because he's looked every bit the part as the reigning defending, that's for sure. You got a 2-for-1 here on a Wednesday? What do you got?
Yeah, okay, so here's, again, we always look for some of these specific pitcher-hitter matchups, and not only on Torpedo Bat Tuesday yesterday, but also on Whiff Wednesday. Now, here's the caveat north of the border, all right? Offensive explosion yesterday, and the Rays almost blew it. They held on to win 11-9 against Toronto. The matchup particular today that you're targeting, Brandon Lau against Chris Bassett. Now, Lau has been dreadful so far this year overall. But sometimes, I mentioned to you earlier, a guy that sees a particular pitcher well, maybe that's what he needs to break out of the slump. So good numbers for Brandon Lau against Chris Bassett, 455, a double and 3 homers. No lean for me, but if you want to jump in just because of the isolated matchup in and of itself, you're probably going in the 2 total bases market, more so than the 2+ runs, RBI or hits. What we will do is we will target Manny Machado, who has been scorching, and he sees Kyle Hendricks, who will start for the Angels today, very well. 9 for 20, 450 average. Let's go Manny Machado, 2 or more hits, runs, RBI. And again, the Padres getting Fernando Tatis Jr.'s first career walk-off last night. They remain as daunting a home fortress as it gets. So Manny Machado would be our lean in that matchup today.
Padres, nice comeback win last night in walk-off fashion. All those walk-offs that we had yesterday here on a Tuesday before we get to Whiff Wednesday, and a lot of day action here that we'll get to before the show is over today. But again, Sharp Plays, if you haven't checked them out, sharpplays.com. They're gonna make that market move whenever they make big-time plays. You're not going to outmuscle billion-dollar sports books or full-time professional bettors on your own. Sharp Plays can help you be a better bettor. It's powered by cutting-edge AI, trusted insider sources. The Smart Plays and Sharp Plays delivers the edge that serious bettors rely on. You're going to get free betting reports, real-time alerts, market-moving insights, all delivered right to you via email and or X. And this isn't some overnight startup. They've been around since 2011, receives public logs and results right there on the website for you to peruse. Respected, watched, and feared. That's the Sharp Plays. Check them out now at sharpplays.com. I mentioned the early starts today in Major League Baseball here, Jensen. You've got, for us here on the West Coast, the Twins and the Orioles, 9:05 start. That's going to be Bailey Ober against Dean Kramer here. And $1.18 on the Orioles side, $1.02 on the Twins. Orioles, I can't figure them out. Dead last right now in the AL East. We see the resurgence of the Twins here very quickly. Is this salvageable? It's mid-May, and I don't want to write off a team like the Orioles that were the second betting choice, all preseason before we got to Major League Baseball. But Jensen, at some point, they got to start looking the part, and they have not done so in the first month and a half.
Yeah, I would agree. And, again, just isolating this matchup, too, as you mentioned, Ober-Kramer, that's 12:05 Eastern. The numbers right now, 45% of the bets, 75% of the handle there on Baltimore in Game 1, and a boatload of money on the over. 37% of the bets, 91% of the money. So, and again, to kind of take a page out of Jonathan Davis's book here, because you're trying to get length from your starter in Game 1, I wouldn't mind the alternate run line here for Baltimore. If you think this game gets decided by 2 or more runs on either side, you get plus money for both of those. So that might be an angle to attack at least Game 1 here.
And again, on Whiff Wednesday, going to fade Eric Fetty in that second game of the day. That's going to begin at 1:05 Eastern time against Jesus Luzardo. Phillies are big favorites here, $1.85. Come back in the Red Hot Cardinals is plus $1.54. The other game that's going to go off early today is going to be in Cleveland right there by you. It's going to be Gavin Williams against Logan Henderson of the Brew Crew. Brewers, all of a sudden, they look like they were kind of back in the mix, and the bats have gone quiet again here. What do you make of this one today at Progressive Field there in the Land?
Yeah, I mean, there has not been a lot of offense in this series thus far. Today is the best weather day they have had, and temperatures should be pretty good. Right now, 62 degrees. They'll get that thing going just shortly after 1 o'clock Eastern time. I would lean The over, but man, a lot of trepidation with the offense. We do have a lean in this game overall from our Daily Diamond. Stephen Kwan, 2 or more hits, runs, RBI. He has been really good. And Jackson Chourio has also been very solid in day games. So a couple of player props if you want to jump on those guys.
Those are the 3 super early ones that we see here on a Wednesday, as we know, getaway day traditionally in Major League Baseball. When we come back, some news. Or is it noise? It involves Paul Skeens. That is next when you come back with us right here on VSiN By The Books.
Here in America, work is in trouble. We've offshored our manufacturing, sent away good jobs, and lost so much ability to make things. American Giant is a company that's pushing back against this tide. They make high-quality clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, promo code STAPLE20.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We have got a big hour number 3 coming up here. We're going to have Sean Little join us at the top of the hour. Adam Burke's going to join us in the mid, and then we're going to wrap it up with Wes Reynolds talking all things PGA Championship. So much more to get to here in the sporting world. Shout out to Jeff Burkett, who tweeted at me, you, and at VSiN Live. We were talking about the Vikings, and now I say, man, they kind of get shafted with that double dip. We got to travel internationally for the 2 games. They do get disadvantaged. As he points out, neither of those Viking games are home games either. Both are road games where it may be better to play international than at Pittsburgh and or the dog pound in Cleveland. Minnesota still gets their full allotment of home games. So, Jensen, we kind of talked about the wink of maybe the NBA. Hey, if you move Luka, maybe we'll figure out a way to get you Cooper Flag. Maybe this is the homage to Minnesota to say, hey, we're going to do something we've never done before. And you're going to play 2 international games back-to-back weeks, but both of those will be road games for you. So at the end, is that a net positive if you're a Skull backer?
Again, I think my initial lean there was looking at not only the survivor implications because the body clock, and again, we had a couple of viewers tell us that that flight from Dublin to London is just an hour and 15 minutes, and I believe you stay on the same time zone. So the body clocks will already be, pretty much in sync there for the Vikings faithful. And the Browns having to come across. They're already 7-point dogs there. And so, again, if you're looking for a survivor angle, that might be one, and also a contest pick as well.
Yeah, and they're favored right now, the Vikings, in that September 28th game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. 1.5-point favorites there, total of 42.5 low there. Even lower the next week in that back-to-back international game series. They're going to be 7-point favorites, as you mentioned, against the Brownies. 41.5 is the total on that one. So, again, no home games have been taken away from the Vikings. So in those future win totals there, factor that in for Vikings backers. I wasn't going to be on them this year. I'll be curious to see exactly what that number looks like here at Circa. I know they populated in other places here, but Circa waits. A lot of these books will wait until the full schedule is out today, and then tomorrow we would expect, when we have the great Mike Palm on, that maybe we can really start to get into some of those win totals that we see out there. But before we get to that, let's get to today's edition of News or a Whole Lot of Noise.
Is it news?
Corleone is a man who insists on hearing bad news immediately.
Or just noise?
Are you going to act like this is news? Just noise. This is noise.
Let's separate the impactful from the insignificant with one simple question. News or noise?
USA Baseball I tell you, man, it's taken off here. The World Baseball Classic, you and I have talked about it, the importance of it. And I know some Major League Baseball clubs are like, man, we don't want our guys playing in that all the time. Injury we saw with Edwin Diaz, certainly the Metropolitans a couple years ago. But it has been announced that Paul Skeens will pitch for Team USA at the WBC in 2026. Aaron Judge has already been announced as the captain for that, so things taking shape there for the manager, Mark DeRosa. So is this news or noise that Skeens is going to be pitching for Team USA?
Well, obviously great news. And D-Row, a former teammate of mine in Cleveland here, he was talking about when he made the call, it took absolutely no time for Paul Skeens to say, I'm in. And you love to hear that. The captain is Aaron Judge from the position player's side. I don't know if we make Judge Captain America, but if he is, then to go along with our Marvel theme, Paul Skeens might be Iron Man, considering that he has got the full arsenal of toys. He's got, the hot girlfriend, the Sports Illustrated cover model, and Livy Dunn. Life doesn't get too much better. And as D-Row said yesterday on LV Network, in his perfect view of how this thing plays out, Paul Skeens is starting the championship game of the World Baseball Classic for Team USA.
Here's the thing. You and I have touched upon it a little bit. And actually, we got to watch the Four Nations together here at Circa. It was a lot of fun when you were in town. We happened to catch that with USA and Canada. And then you see the birth and the growth now of the World Baseball Classic. You've seen Adam Silver tinkering with maybe going to more of these styles. Now, I know, again, teams and contracts, they're like, man, yeah, it's great for the pride and the country and the enthusiasm, but we don't want you to get hurt. How do you think they walk those fine lines? Like, you don't want Skeens going out there if you're Pittsburgh, pushing 8 innings and 120 pitches. But if it really does matter and you're trying to win the game, how do you juxtapose those things?
Yeah, there's always been pushback in this tournament format because of the timing in the year. It's always been spring training, and that's usually ramp up opportunities for guys getting ready for the full season. And so we've seen injuries, that have come out. Yeah, as well from the Mets. Edwin Diaz having the injury, non-contact. So hey, that you take the field, you're at risk of injury anytime. We always say that for pitchers, regardless of time of year, you're one throw away from potentially your career being over. So all that being said, Dave, we now live in a day and age where guys are pretty much ready when they come into camp. It's not like you're coming out of a factory or grocery store in an era gone by where you use spring training to get in shape, if you will, for the season. The World Cup format that we kind of have for the WBC, 20 countries, you're in 4 different pools all across the globe. I told you before, you asked what it means to put on the Team USA uniform. There are so many guys now that want that opportunity, and even more for the Latin American countries. I told you this weeks ago, if those guys are on record as saying it means more to wear their country's jersey in this tournament than there ever will winning a World Series. If that doesn't tell you what the buy-in is, just like we saw for Four Nations now and the advent of the NHL, I don't know if it'll get the same run for basketball, but it is there to stay here for baseball, the way these young players now are really, really wanting to be a part of it.
We had significant injuries from the Four Nations, and I think those players would say, that's fine, I'll do it all over again, because it means something. Yep. So we'll see if the NBA can model something like this. The one team, one league, we're not talking about the NFL. I just don't know that they can ever replicate what we're seeing with hockey,
True.
What we're seeing with baseball, and potentially what we can see with the NBA. Speaking of the association, Adam Silver says the league is going to expand, and it's going to be discussed in July. And when they discuss it, Jensen, that normally means they've got some ideas of where they want to go. 32 teams is what the discussion is. News or just noise floating it out there?
I think it is news from the standpoint that there has been so much smoke around Seattle getting a team back again. And we know when the Supersonics were there, how fun it was.
Yeah.
And Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, and just a lot of great basketball there. Hey, you and I are old enough to remember, 15, 20 years ago, when leagues avoided Vegas like the plague. And here we are. It has now become a destination not only for sports teams to call home, but for the biggest events in all these sports to come to it, and anxious to see. I mean, we'll have college football, championship that'll be there at Allegiant this year. Who would have thought just a decade ago that would be possible?
I will say this. My mom, it was great to be home, and she said, boys, it was great having you home, but I got to say it from Mom. She said, Vegas feels like home for you when you and Jensen are doing the show. And I'm like, that's because Vegas, because Mom knows what makes me tick. It's sports. It's not the gambling capital of the world anymore. It might be known as the sports capital of the world very soon. And if they're going to get baseball, and then if Adam Silver brings a basketball team here, as you just mentioned, could you imagine going from zero forever to having all four major sports recognized very soon, Jensen? It really could be Vegas, could be that sports destination. And then, of course, you're going to gamble on the games when you're here.
Again, in WNBA, already having the team there, already having championships, the Formula One race renewing to be there yearly. It is a destination now, not only just America's adult playground, but many other ways to enjoy year-round there in Las Vegas.
Well said. I will also say, tip of the cap to the Vegas Golden Knights. Going to try to stave off elimination again against Edmonton. But they were the first one. They were the pioneers to come in here with a professional franchise, big time, and get rid of that stigma that is gone now, I think, for the majority of the country, that you can come to Las Vegas, be a professional franchise, and we're going to be okay. We're not going to have any of these issues that you had at the Black Sox scandals way back yonder. I think everybody knows now at Vegas you can do it professionally, do it legally, and enjoy your major pro sports. Speaking of Vegas, come on out. If you're not coming out or don't plan to yet, this might change your mind. There's a great all-in summer hotel package right here at Circa behind me. It's a 2-night hotel stay, but that includes resort fees and taxes, and that is not something to be slept on. That can be very pricey at different casinos and hotels. $100 dining credit, $100 beverage credit, and a daybed at Stadium Swim. All of that is $400, and that's going to cover you all the way. You have that option for 2 nights, all the way through September 4th. So go to circlelasvegas.com and book that getaway now. That is a fantastic deal for $400 to get all of that for a 2-night stay. I'd do it just for the daybed so I can get a little bit of a tan out here in Las Vegas. Come on back. We're going to begin hour number 3 talking all things NBA with our buddy Sean Little. He is next here on VSiN By The Books.
These days, work is in trouble. We've outsourced most of our manufacturing to other countries. And with that, we sent away good jobs and our capability to make things. American Giant is a clothing company that's pushing back against this tide. They make all kinds of high-quality clothing and activewear, like sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. So when you buy American Giant, you create jobs in towns and cities across the country. And jobs bring pride, purpose. They stitch people together. If all that sounds good to you, visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with promo code STAPLE20.